Hi everyone, Alyssa here from Dynamic Links, and I am very excited for today's video to share with my fellow therapists and people who are wondering what Dynamic Links is all about, because I have a confession. I am a Labubu addict. I am. I love Labubus, and because I've been so invested in this, I have decided it is important to explore how we can use Labubus in therapy as therapists, and specifically as music therapists and creative arts therapists. If you have been on social media in the last few months, I would suspect you have seen Labubus everywhere. These creepy, creative, mischievous creatures. Everyone kind of has a different perspective on them. But they've created a phenomenon in pop culture, and anytime that happens, it is relevant to the therapeutic work we do, especially for our pediatric clients and teenagers. I feel like this is such a great pathway into therapy for us that takes the pressure off of the voice of us therapists or the voice of the client, and we can place it into the hands of these cute little creatures. So today we are going to explore 10 ways you can use Labubus in therapy. Way number one is as easy as the first step of the therapeutic process. We build rapport, we build relationship with our clients, and Labubus or special interest toys can be a path in for us to do that. So it could be saying, oh, I see you have a Labubu. What is its name if it's not just the original name of the Labubu, or using that as a means of connection. Or you could share, I have a Labubu too, if you are also a Labubu collector. Or you could have options in your therapy space and say, hey, so nice to meet you. Would you like to bring an item into the therapy room? Which Labubu would you choose? You can give different options. Give them an opportunity for self-expression and connection, and they have a comfort item there as well, especially for our younger clients. But I find my tweens, this has been a really powerful way to help me bring them into session and connect with session and get some buy-in from them. I would specify, if you're not planning to give them the Labubu forever, how you would like the boundaries around where the Labubu goes, and if it stays in the therapy room or if it stays in the general therapy practice space, just so they know up front that this is not going home with them. Which one would you like to use for our time together today? These Labubus are always here for you to use when you come for therapy. Another way I've been bringing Labubus into sessions is a means of emotional expression. Social emotional learning is so much of the work I do in preschool, in school age, pre-adolescence, adolescence, across the board. And I bet you didn't realize, if you are not a Labubu lover like me, that one of the versions of Labubus is really all about emotional expression, identity, self-expression. It's the Big Into Energy series, and it's all about your energy. And every one of the characters has a name, and they're associated with a color. So if you use the zones of regulation, or you use any sort of colors check-in for emotional expression, this can be directly aligned with that concept. So I'm going to give you a little rundown of how I use them and who is in the group for these Labubus. In the Big Into Energy series, sorry, I just dropped part of it, you have Hope, which is blue. And I even think this is great if you're using zones of regulation. The blue zone can feel heavy, sadness, sickness, depression, but can there be hope for the emergence from that place? Or I can sit in hope in my blue zone as well. I thought this was so cool when I saw this. My therapy brain is just always going. Then you have Luck, who is purple, and on some versions a little more blue than mine, but talking about what makes us feel lucky. You can use it as a pathway for introducing the word of emotional expression and how we might have and feel those emotions in our day-to-day or during special moments. You have Serenity, which I associate that word with calm and peace, which is green zone. So it's like Pop Mart and the Labubus. We're already thinking like therapists. And you have Loyalty. She's got a cute sweater. I'm sorry, it was too hard to take it off for this video. I love this to talk about friendship and how we show loyalty and kindness to others. So she could demonstrate it. She can describe what that emotion is or what feeling loyal and being loyal means to us. Then you have Happiness, which, you know, is this kind of sunshiny, bright peach color. And you have Love, which we have songs about the 5 love languages, circles of friendship, all sorts of things that love can be a pathway into discussion for. And just having that visual and buy-in makes that discussion more fun, or makes it more motivating for someone to have, especially if the concept of friendship, love, self-expression is hard. We, number one, have a tangible, it's cute. If they like it, they're bought into it. And you can make it kitschy and fun. And you don't have to have these physical Labubus like I do and bring them in. You can have the pictures of them. I guarantee if you're working with kids, they know what these are and they will be interested in you bringing them into the therapy space in whatever way that looks like. A special addition that is part of this emotional expression. So when I saw her, I had to get her as our therapy mascot at the office at Dynamic Links. This is the big into energy Labubu. And what I love about her is she is a combination of all of these colors together, because we can feel more than one emotion at one time. We can be hopeful. We can be loyal to our friends. We can feel serenity and calm. We can feel sadness, anger, all of the different colors on her. We can assign a representation of those emotions. And how do they brew inside us all at one time? That's a concept that's really hard for me to teach and visualize with my clients, that we don't have to be green zone. Green zone isn't the place where we just live. Green zone might be just what's optimal to us. And what coincides with that? Can I be happy and stressed? Am I excited but nervous? So this is such a great visual way to say, look at all of these splotches of colors. Look at all of these splotches of emotions. We're more than one thing at any given time. And you can touch it, feel it, point it out, look at it, pass it around. Such a great way to engage with this concept in a tangible way. And then for us music therapists, each of these colors can be musical. And we'll talk about that a little more. I did say this gal, for all of her emotional skills, is going to be our mascot at the office. But one of the mascots I'm bringing into the classroom this year is this Labubu, the Flip With Me one. I saw this and I immediately knew I had to have her for music therapy groups. And yes, all Labubus are hers, but you know what? They're plush dolls. So feel free to use whatever pronouns you would like to use, and that could be something else you explore with them and discussions. But Flip With Me, I had to have, because first and foremost, so fun, great texture, and perfect size to carry around on the go into schools. And my plan for Flip is that every month during the themes that I'm planning for my preschool group specifically, Flip will be dressed with accoutrement to match our theme, and Flip will have our skill of the month. So that complex skill we're working on, whether that's a social strategy, an emotional expression idea, working on a motor skill, Flip will be the one that introduces it, which just gives more fun buy-in. Flip gets to be in charge of how we express that therapy concept each week. And the fourth way to use Labubus, and the way that I knew I had to have Flip with me, the reason she's called Flip, let me take her glasses off, is her eyes flip and change. So on the emotional expression, we've got love. We've got, this could be excitement, curiosity. We've got, I'm so tearful and joyful. And this one to me is confusion or overload. We've got a lot of concepts we can introduce. But this also can be assigned to an instrument that we have to switch between. So let's say two of my clients, my group of students, have two instruments. They have bells and they have a drum. Maybe they shake the bells, and when her eyes switch, they play the drum. And when they go back, bells. When they go this way, silence. So they have to selectively attend to the visual cue. You're not giving any verbals. And you could even be doing this. 3, 2, 1, flip. So that they're not seeing you prepare to do it either. You're just getting it ready, and they have to wait for that attentional cue. You could do this with starting and stopping. You can do this with motor patterns. You could do this with all sorts of different things. But there's a great way to pull in selective attention into this. One of the oldest strategies in the pediatric therapy book is using plushies or puppets as a means of expression when sharing your own experience is maybe challenging. Now, I don't personally do trauma work, but that is something a lot of trauma therapists do. But I do work with clients who have a really difficult time communicating or sharing about their day, or it's uncomfortable. So we can write a story about a Labubus day. How did your Labubus day at school go? And maybe that is how the client's day at school went, and that opens up a vessel for us to talk about it and process through different things that came up. Or maybe we write a story about how the Labubu copes in a specific situation and make the Labubu coping tools. And then the pressure is off the client to use that, and then we can come back and reflect it to the client. Wow, what a great tool for Labubu. Should we try that for you? Because Flip is going to be our mascot, and I think the bigger Labubu can be great for this. I also plan to use this for motor imitation, right? If we're doing Simon Says or a motor action song, can you do what the Labubu does? That's also teaching how to follow different leaders, myself and the Labubu. And then my kids in the group get to be the leaders of the movement. So we're taking the model away from just me, the adult, into something that's more connecting with them. Then they can take the leadership on themselves. You know, clap your hands like Labubu, stomp your feet like Labubu, jump like Labubu's jumping up and down. Then they could also hold the Labubu and move it in different ways. And then we have to follow them, especially if they have different gross and fine motor needs, and Labubu can do that for them. Fine motor, maybe not so much, but gross motor, if we're working on kicking or jumping, Labubu can be the model, and that could be a fun way for that client to engage with the group in that motor skill work. I do a lot of social skill, strategy, collaboration work in my school therapy groups. So working as a team is really hard, but what if we have a team of Labubus that are doing the different roles that are involved in a social structure? Maybe one of the Labubus is our leader. Maybe one of the Labubus is in control of volume. One is in charge of instruments for creating a band of Labubus. That way, we can step into different roles with our Labubu, and the pressure is, again, off the client. So if I set the Labubus up in a circle, and we're gonna take on these different roles in a band of the leader, the conductor, the followers, the drum player, the singer, the volume control, the sound engineer, everyone gets a different role in the group. They're motivated to engage with that Labubu, and when it's time, we can move around the circle to the next role, and they're excited to engage with this new one because it's a new Labubu that they get to play with. Another simple way I'm bringing Labubus into therapy this year, a sensory item. I can squeeze it, I can rub the texture of it. Different Labubu fur has different textures on it. I can explore what feels good to me as a mechanism for sensory regulation for the therapist. The little Labubu, same thing. Again, if you don't have any of them, I understand. They are not cheap. You do not need to go out and buy them. But if your clients are bringing them in, you can teach them different ways that they can regulate and engage with that tool that they're carrying around that a lot of their peers are carrying around as well. You can normalize that comfort and sensory item in a way that maybe a different type of fidget wouldn't blend in the same way. Not that we need to blend in ever, but when you're 13, you're sometimes looking for a way to fit in with your peers and also get the supports and systems that you need. And wow, what a great way that does both of those things. Because there are so many Labubus, whether you have them or not. Again, you can just have pictures of them. There are different character profiles and emotions and energies that you can put with them. Not just the Big Into Energy series that we already talked about, but one of the other series is called Have a Seat. Not important for you to know, but you can write a theme song specifically for each Labubu. It can be songwriting inspiration. It could be a short-term project, just writing it for the one Labubu. It could be a long-term project, writing it for a whole series of Labubus, writing it for all of the series of Labubus. What are the different personality traits? Exploring that emotional expression, exploring that songwriting strategy, working on communication skills, attention, persistence through task duration, working on a long-term project and goal setting. There's so many skills that could be incorporated in here, and you can make it as little or as big as is interesting and motivating for the people that you work with. And finally, If Labubus are really interesting to your clients and you have access to them, you can use them as a motivator in therapy. Maybe you're working on small skills that compound into bigger picture skills, such as emotional identification. Then we're working on identifying coping tools that we can use in a dysregulated state. Then we're working on how can we implement independently that coping tool during a time of distress across given situations. You can level up those skills with Labubus. Maybe level 1, emotional ID, is just the Big Into Energy series that we talked about. Can we label how we're feeling? Can we choose the Labubu that most resonates with how we're feeling? When we learn a new coping tool, maybe we're unlocking a new set of Labubus. And then when we put it all together, hey, maybe that's when the big Labubu comes into play of, wow, I'm feeling a lot of things right now. How do I help slow my brain and body down? If it's something that's motivating, you can use it to level up. And again, you don't have to physically have them. Maybe it's the images of them. Maybe it's watching a video of them. Maybe it's watching an unboxing and then talking and exploring about it. There's so many ways to pull it in if this is an interest that you're really seeing with your individual or group therapy clients in pediatrics and teens. Obviously, this is a topic I'm really passionate about because it interests me. It's a way to pull in creativity, rapport building, and one of my interests right now into the therapy space. So there are 10 ways you can use Labubus to work on expression, attention, executive functions, motor skills. You name it, there is a Labubu way to access it. I hope you have found this very helpful for your therapy practice. Maybe there's 1 or 2 ways you can pull it in, and we'll keep showing different ways and how this is put into practice over on our Instagram, so follow @dynamiclinks. Also check out our blog post that accompanies this that goes into more detail on the 10 ways you can use Labubus in therapy.